unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson. This episode is brought to you by White Cloud Coffee Roasters, where every bean tells a story of adventure. Visit whitecloudcoffee.com and use the code CREATIVITY.
Well, welcome back, friends, to our podcast, Your World of Creativity, where we travel around the world. We talk to creative practitioners of all kinds, singer-songwriters and authors and engineers and architects. We've been to places like Oslo and Copenhagen, and then we've been over to Barcelona, and then we've been back in the States to New York and LA. And today we're landing in Austin, Texas, to talk to Steven Puri. He's the founder and CEO of Sukha Company. And we're going to be talking about Hollywood and his evolution into that, and all sorts of creative ventures in visual effects, but also a great new venture he's been creating called the Sukha Focus App. So we've got lots of things to talk about. Steven, welcome to the show.
I hope this is one of the most engaging and maybe actionable episodes we've ever done. So let's see what we can do.
Actionable is always great.
Yeah.
I think this idea of focus, achieving more, building a healthy work life is always attractive to creatives. But let's start back in your eclectic career. There's film production, there's tech startups, all sorts of things in your background. I love the fact that you're a newscaster for a youth news show in DC and Baltimore. May have started it all. Pick it up from there.
Yeah, as a wee lad. So yes, I grew up just outside DC in Northern Virginia, and through a series of lucky events. And my life, by the way, is Forrest Gump, where it's like weird, lucky stuff happens when I'm there. And I'd like to believe I work very hard to make something of it, but let us not overlook the value of luck in my life. Okay. So I've been very fortunate to do the things I've done. So happened to be on this TV show. It was the top rated youth show in the DC Baltimore market. And that led to USC in Los Angeles recruiting me to come there. The funny thing is, I was actually more interested in computers. My parents were both engineers. So I was a Watson Scholar at IBM, which meant I had a job guaranteed whenever I wanted it. So I worked as a junior software engineer during school to make money for school. So I'm in LA, going USC, which we know has, if not the best, one of the best cinema TV schools in the world. And, you know, a lot of your friends in the dorm, even if you're not in the cinema TV school, half your friends want to go out Tuesday night, watch some weird, obscure indie film, debate it, and dine until 2 a.m, right? So it was an amazing education in film without having to go to the film school. And I was, wait for it, lucky to be in LA when computers took over film. Film became digital. Computers were powerful enough to do Pro Tools and Avid nonlinear editing and Silicon graphics equipment, making CG films. And I spoke both languages. I spoke engineer because I was one. I spoke creative because I had a lot of friends who were creative. And my career fell into film through doing digital effects. So I did digital effects for the title designer, both for Jim Cameron on True Lies, for David Fincher on Seven, for Brian De Palma on Carlito's Way. I worked on the DreamWorks logo, the original DreamWorks logo, a bunch of stuff, produced the digital effects for Independence Day, for which we won the Academy Award, which was awesome. And 1,000 people contributed to that. I'm not taking credit for that, but it was a great experience to be on a film, produce the digital effects, and we won the Academy Award. And that's when I set up my first company with Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, the director and producer of the movie, and the writers, because we got very close. We liked each other. And I ran that for 4 years in my 20s. We sold that. And then at that point, I decided I wanted to be on the creative side of film. I wanted to stop being a craftsman helping to make the film, but actually work upstream, working with writers, working with producers, directors, casting, and getting things made. And that was one of the more interesting periods of time in my life. That was at Sony early on as a junior executive. And then I was in DreamWorks with Kurtzman Orsi as an executive vice president. I was at Fox doing a lot of the action movies, like running the Die Hard franchise, the Wolverine franchise, as a vice president at 20th Century Fox back when it was News Corp before it was Disney, and many other things. So yeah, I love working with creatives. It's just awesome.
Absolutely.
I have great respect for people who create.
You're talking about the creativity and the 1,000 people that you see on the credits at the end of the films, but the collaboration, the teamwork, and you're even saying building franchises. All this has to do with How do you connect? How do you draw a string through not only the stories and the effects, but also how do you gather the people? What are some of the lessons learned on that kind of teamwork that
I
you
will
brought?
try to be as succinct as I can, which is the challenge for me, but I'm going to go for it. So you had, and I don't remember the gentleman's name, you had someone on, I want to say it was Italian, who talked about art school preparing you to be an artist, but not understanding the business of art.
Yes, Giovanni Aioli.
Right. Slightly reductive, but I
Yes.
agree very much with what he said. And I'll tell you how that occurs in my life and the advice that I have. If you had asked me when I was a junior executive at Sony, at Red Wagon, or later when I was over on the DreamWorks lot, to poll my friends, because we were all rising up, becoming vice presidents at the same time, or becoming young partners at agencies, who are the writers, the directors that are going to be this generation, Spielberg, Lucas, Scorsese, De Palma, all that? We would have guessed wrong. Because back then, I thought the main determinant was talent. And it is not. And I'll tell you, this presented to me because now as I make an app to help creatives write and focus and do great work, but as a tool to help them concentrate, get into flow state. I live in Austin, Texas. I don't live in West Hollywood anymore. And the Austin Film Festival was not that long ago, where I had a bunch of friends from the old days come into town and be like, hey, man, come to my premiere. Hey, come to my party, my after party. So it was fun. Laura and I went down. And I'll tell you this, the ones that were still in the game were not the ones that were the most talented. They were the ones who learned how to take no as, okay, I can make it better. Let me see what I can do, as opposed to a rejection of them and their talent. And it's maybe a harsh thing to say, but I want to be as helpful as I can on this pod, which is, it was interesting seeing that the determinant was tenacity more than talent.
Oh, interesting.
And Giovanni touched upon that. He was very articulate about this, probably more than I.
Yes. It was this idea, the overlap of, yes, creativity, but systems and science and all of the technical things. But there's a high pressure environment too.
Yes.
Some people enjoy the push, the deadline, the productivity aspect, but then
The joke is called show art, called show business.
There you go.
When you're gambling 5 million to 500 million on a single piece of work, it's a business proposition, man. It's not like me and Picasso hanging out with a can of paint.
And that commerce side says you don't get to make all the decisions, just using your creative gut.
Oh, good God, no. And I'll tell you, that was, as you choose your creative partners, that was another very interesting thing I'll pass along, which is, I will tell you at DreamWorks, I had 4 of the best years emotionally, creatively, financially, all that. And there was definitely an ethos. Keep in mind, DreamWorks is the last studio run by a filmmaker. All the other studios are basically run by either accountants or attorneys or marketing people, right? And there was an ethos of, go home tonight. Mark, if you can make your projects 1% better, that's a win. And for example, when I went to News Corp, my boss, who was the chairman of Fox Film and Entertainment, made it very clear. It was, hey, go home tonight and see if you can make this 1% cheaper.
Yes.
And that's not super inspiring, but it is show business. And he had his job for 14 years before he got fired. It was like, that's a long run. In film, 14 years is a dinosaur age, right?
Yes, yes.
And that was the reason. He's like, if I make it for cheap enough, it doesn't matter if it's that successful. We just don't lose money and I keep my job. And I was like, wow, that's a pragmatic way to live. Doesn't really inspire a lot of artists to work here.
Well, let's bring that up to date then with your current company, Sukha, and how this thought inspired you to form this company. Sukha being a word that means happiness.
Someone's done his research.
I'm trying to look in my Sanskrit box and see what I can find.
Yeah, I appreciate you're doing that. I do have a daily yoga practice. It is how I met my wife. It has definitely affected my life. And you do hear a lot of Sanskrit concepts, words, prana and life force and karma and dharma and sukha. And sukha, yeah, means like that feeling when you're in your lane, doing what you're meant to do and you're good at it. Like you're in control of your day. You feel you can do things with ease because you're in the zone, right? And it really reflected something I thought was amazing. And the thing I'd like to hang a lantern on is flow states. And this is going to take me 60 seconds. I know it's a very short pod, but let me just lay this out there so everyone's on equal footing. And I'm sure there's some people who are like, I'm a flow master. And there are others who are like, what is that? So there was a Hungarian-American psychologist, this guy, Mihai, who had a thesis. He said, high performers in these wildly different fields seem to go into the concentrated states where they do the thing that makes them famous, the thing that changes the world. And they describe it in a very similar way. It's artists and athletes and scientists and inventors. And what's up with that, right? So we went off like Prometheus to go steal fire from the gods and bring it down to the rest of us. And at the end of his research, he wrote the book Flow. It's the seminal work on this. It's why we call it flow state. And I just love that he said this. He said, I chose this metaphor because it was the best way to describe what I found, which is we are all on the river paddling to move ourselves forward. But if you align your boat with the current, it carries you. It magnifies your efforts and you go further and faster. And that's what these people figured out to do and do it consistently. So he's, what do you call it? The zone, like the famous Michael Jordan quote about when I'm in the zone, it's me and the ball. Yes. Or whether, and I always mangle it, the Picasso quote about, I was up all night, I forgot to eat or pee, but hey, Guernica, I think on the 14th night or it was. So that is what a flow state is. It is a state that he documented, and many smart people have done research on different parts of it since, where you are immersed in the work. Distractions fall away. You don't look at the clock. You do your best work. And at the end of it, you feel energized and in control. You feel the joy of doing something great as opposed to the depletion of, oh my God, I've been grinding it out for hours. And I had never heard the term when I experienced my first flow state. I was on a flight from Austin here to San Francisco, and I wanted to illustrate in Figma quickly an idea that I had for a building. I was going to show it to my team the next day. Got on the flight. Alaska runs that nonstop on that route. Captain's Wi-Fi's out. Sorry, kids. Okay. Took off. 15 minutes later, we were descending. I was like, an engine fell off. We're in Dallas. They don't want to tell us something really bad happened until we're on the ground. I get it. I looked up 2 hours and 40 minutes had gone by since I looked at the clock. And my designs were done. I had created an entire feature for our platform without even noticing like the drink cart or like the name of the dude next to me in the seat. You know what I mean? It was this weird magical thing where I'm like, oh, here we are. And I was prepared to grab a sandwich in the lobby of my hotel, run up to the room, try and finish. And in reality, I called a buddy of mine from the Uber. I was like, hey man, I have a free night in SF. Do you want to have dinner? And it was an amazing feeling of being like strangely giddy and like in control and having created something that's meaningful. And that is a long story of why I created the Sukha website, which is there is a ton of research about how to get into a flow state. I just wanted to put all in one place. So you hit play and you get it all.
Yes. Well, and the application in these days of combination of overload, information, distractions, everything else. And so many of us working solo at home in our caves, and we don't always get the outside. Check. So tell us how this website begins to help us with those focus challenges.
Oh, I really appreciate you asking because I'm very passionate about this. So I found one of the challenges I have is my phone, which is common with every other human being on earth, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's websites. And I do notice that I'm different than some people. Some people are super like, oh yeah, I waste time on YouTube or ESPN or NFL or at Etsy or Amazon, whatever. But in general, there's that weird, you go watch one YouTube video that you need to watch for work, and then the recommender engine gives you something you really love, and 10 videos later, an hour went by. So this is what I did, which is because it sounds stupid simple to you, but it helps me. It helps all the people in Sukha. And most of the people in Sukha are writers, designers who create, like graphic designers, UI, UX designers, and engineers, developers, right, who create code, which is really cool because it's basically a community of creators. What I did was this is music has been shown to be really helpful for helping your brain drop into flow. And there's a lot of research on 60 to 90 beats per minute, certain key signatures, ambient non-vocal music. So there's a big play button when you open the website, play button right in the middle, you hit play. Your music starts and a QR code pops up. You can shoot with your phone. I put my phone down And if I pick up my phone while I'm working, the little smart assistant says, "Hey, Steven, is your phone helping you?" And it gives you just that 1 second of being like, do I really want to give my life up to Mark Zuckerberg or Elon or Evan or whoever is stealing my life and monetizing it to advertisers, right? It's the same with websites. You can specify what websites bug you. We have a free Chrome extension. Install it, open one of those websites while you're working, and it'll just give you a little pop-up that goes, "Hey man, is YouTube helping you right now?" And you just get to choose like that thing. Because what I found was I would have the end of the day frustration. The seeds of that were sown earlier in the day with the little distractions and the procrastination. And I would feel the pain. I'd pay the price for that at the end, as opposed to being done earlier in the day. And so that's what we do with Sukha. We went, "Hey man, it's a great community. There's a group chat. You can share what you're working on. Here's my portfolio. Oh, I just wrote a new blog post. Who wants to read it?" There's music, there's distraction blocking, there's the smart assistant to help you break stuff down. But it's a very simple thing of just like in the morning, you hit play on that. And then a lot of people by midday will be posting, "Oh, here's the blog post I wrote," or "Here's the website I just launched." And it's a cool creator community feel.
That sounds fantastic. I can't wait to
It's
explore
super
it.
fun.
Yeah. So
Come join it.
Steven, point us in the direction. Where can we find it and learn more about it?
Oh, I appreciate your asking. It is really simple. It's at the Sukha, which is TheSukha.co for company, the Sukha company. And it's free for 7 days. You don't need a credit card. If you sign up and you go, "Hey man, I'll help you pay the server bills and all that," I love you to death. But you get 7 days to try it every single day to see if it really helps you get further in your career, get further in your creativity, get in the zone where you're like, "I'm doing the thing I'm meant to do." Because that's what I want. The reason we met is I'm having a son in 29 days. And I've been thinking a lot about what are we doing to contribute to the world? Tools to let people do the thing they're capable of. I have a thesis, just like Mihai had his thesis. I have a thesis that everyone has something great inside. And the question is, are you going to get it out or not? And I'd like to see more people feel empowered to get it out and fewer people like just scrolling and double tapping and scrolling.
That's a great mission. And I guess that leads me to my wrap-up question, if there is
Ooh,
such a
wow,
thing.
this was
We have covered so many dots and points of a career and the future of work. But I'm thinking of this overlap, this Venn diagram, healthy and productive. Can we be both? I read a write-up you had using this healthy productivity, and I thought, what a clash of both terms and concepts. Where do we find both the focus and the fulfillment, that happiness?
I'm going to tell you a story that may explain my point of view better than words, right? Because I think there is a way in which you can create the important thing and do it in a way that lifts you up, like Mihai wrote, right? So when we had a working version of this, like beta users, that sort of thing, Laura and I got married. And as I mentioned, we met in yoga. So we went to Bali for our honeymoon. Awesome. Very grateful. That's where my life is. And I said to Laura on the way there, "I want to name this. We need a real title." And like the way Amazon is like an interesting word. It's not called like online bookstore, or Nike is like Goddess of Victory. It's not called like shoe store, the shoe company. And I said, maybe in the next 10 days, the muses will sing to me. That back of the mind, the default mode network, as opposed to the executive mode network in your brain that does the more creative stuff. Maybe that'll sing to me. So she said, "Great, go for it. I wish you luck." And the first day when we landed, I said, "Do you mind if I speak to 3 of these early members and just ask them what their favorite things about this? It might seed my unconscious," right? So she said, "I'm going to the pool. I will see you at dinner, my friends." I did 3 quick Zooms, 10 minutes. Third one, I was wrapping up after the usual questions. "Hey, Mark, thanks. What's your favorite? Do you love the music? Do you love the smart assistant? Do you love the phone blocker?" And the guy, as we were going to the wrap up, I was like, "I really appreciate your time. I want to be respectful. I'm going to let you go." He said to me, "Steven, you asked the wrong questions." And I was like, "Okay, guy that I don't know that well, like, I'll take the bait. What was the right question?" And he said, "You should have asked me why I pay you." And I was like, "We charge $10 a month. Tony and I do this for free. We don't collect a salary. We just believe this is something the world should have. But okay. So why do you pay me?" He said, "So I find in the past year, I have 2 kinds of days. At 3 o'clock, I'm playing with my kids. They're currently 2 and 4. Or it's 6 o'clock. I'm down on myself because I didn't do the thing. I was busy, but I didn't get it done. He said, so I pay you because my kids are not going to be 2 and 4 forever. And I was like, wow, that is a way better question answer than I was thinking. Thank you. So I say this to Laura over dinner. I was like, I spoke to this dude who's more articulate about what I'm doing than I am. And he said this. She said, that's great. And we were going to bed. And she looked at me. She said, in yoga, we hear all these Sanskrit terms for all these things. She said, you've been trying to name this after what the features are, like distraction blocker, flow state app. She said, what this guy said to you is it's about how he wants to be in control of his day. He wants to feel a certain way. He's doing great work and he can do it with ease. That's what you should name your company. And I bought the website that night before we went to bed for my little phone in Bali.
Yes.
And that's really what I think it's about. When you say healthy productivity, is that feeling of I've done great work and I feel lifted up, as opposed to I grounded out. I'm sleeping under my desk. I suck. I've done enough of the latter. I enjoy the former.
Yes. I enjoyed the stories and I enjoyed the approach, the philosophy. It's great to hear where it came from and all the possibilities it could bring.
I appreciate the opportunity to chat today. And
Yeah.
should we ever chat again? There are more fun, creative things we could share.
I can't wait. I think we should definitely do it. And
Thank you,
listeners, I
Pat.
know you would enjoy these conversations. Do check out Steven and his work on the Sukha. And thanks to our sponsor, White Cloud Coffee. You talk about creative conversations, Steven. I can't tell you how many conversations over a White Cloud Coffee I've had. So I want to invite listeners. You can enjoy 10% off your first order at whitecloudcoffee.com. And of course, I'd like to offer you a copy of my free ebook, Your World of Creativity. Just visit mark-stinson.com. And come back to our next episode. We're approaching 400 episodes. I can't believe over the years, we've talked to 400 creative practitioners about their inspiration, how they organize ideas, and like we've talked about today, how we make the connections to launch our work out into the world. So come back again for our next episode. Until then, I'm Mark Stinson, and we'll keep unlocking your world of creativity. Bye for now.